nowadays there's an almost obsession online of young guys, teens, 20s, 30s, who immediately think they should be on testosterone enhancement, TRT, that, going beyond TRT, getting on gear. How long gear, for the folks that don't know, is a verbiage for steroids.
Yeah.
TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, lower dosages designed to bring things into upper normal range, in some cases a little higher. What, from the time you picked up a weight, maybe in this youth detention center, until the first time you went on gear, how long was that, and how much did you achieve doing the sorts of training you were talking about before? I want to separate this out from the competitive phase, in part because, frankly, I think, and I've been very open, I'm on low dose TRT. I started when I was 45. About 125 milligrams a week. Okay.
Yeah, we're
same as you.
The same.
Yeah, same as you. But I always tell people they really, really, really should wait, if do it at all. How long did you have without anything? Where it's, food, training, sleep, maybe some supplements like some creatine, some protein powder.
Right. So I started in 83, earlier in the year. I was 180, 185, but very lean. You can see some pictures of me after 6 months.
Yeah, well, you have those thick
training.
Joints. I mean, you have an athletic.
I got very low body fat as well, naturally. My son and my daughter, they both had abs, and when I was 11 years old, very, very lean, pale skin, low body fat, thin skin, type of thing. So you wouldn't say, wow, look at that guy, he's big, but you'd say, wow, he's really cut, this guy. That's how I started, 180. So after 6 months, I think it was 195, and the gym owner put on a contest in Birmingham, local gym thing, and he was like, come on, go in a contest, and I don't know. Okay. So I went in, no diet, no steroids, nothing. It was the first time as contest. I still got the pictures, but the two guys that I was competing against, they came second and third, I won. But both these guys were already on stuff. So I was able to beat them not using anything, right? Because genetically, I'm better, I guess. I'm not saying in 6 months I overtook them. I probably started ahead of them. So that was with nothing. I got up to 210. Mm-hmm. So I'm just looking back because we did some social media posts with my early training, yeah? So I'm benching 3 plates aside for 3 or 4 reps. And I want to go now into the IFBB and compete, yeah? Which I know everybody's using, right? So I was 210 when I decided I'm going to do this competition. And I did some D-ball, 20 milligrams a day for about 6 weeks. And I switched to Anavar for the contest. So I went from 180 to 210, so that's 30 pounds. I put on in a year and a half training or something. Then I decided to do the competition. So in 6 weeks, I think on 20 milligrams of D-ball, I went to 230. It's a big boost in 6 weeks, but I already put on 30 pounds, without anything. And for me, it was always I'm going to do competitive bodybuilding and I intend to make a career out of it. So I just want to be on the same playing field as everybody else. So I won a novice competition in the IFBB, and everyone was freaking out. The guy who was the head of the federation, who's also a judge at the Mr. Olympia, and some other guys came backstage and said, where the hell have you come from? And why are you in the novice competition? I said, well, I'm from Birmingham and it's my first competition in the federation, so I start at the bottom and wait. You're probably better than our best heavyweight. I'm like, no, come on. And they were laughing this kid. It's we want you to join the British team in 2 weeks' time at the World Games, which is World Championship. So I went from a novice 2 weeks later to competing in the World Games against Berry de May, who became a top Olympian, Matt Mendenhall, who was the best amateur in USA at the time, and I got 7th place there. And I remember, I basically spent out all my funds to get ready for this contest. I had nothing left. I had to buy a tracksuit, tanning lotion. I was earning very little money, so this took all my money, and I'm broke. And I had to ask my brother-in-law, can you lend me 20 pounds because I need to do this and get a taxi to the the team selection, right? So I went to the team selection, I got picked, but I was like, amongst all these guys, and I'm thinking, like, I just borrowed some money to get here, you know? But they picked me for the World Games team, so I went quite uniquely, I think, from a novice competition to a World Championship in 2 weeks. So that's, you know, kind of the level I was at when I first started competing.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, but do you think it's fair to say that for people who are not going to pursue competitive bodybuilding, that it's probably best to explore how far they can go with their training and good nutrition, and perhaps even without hormone replacement until they really need it or later? I mean, to me, it seems like, given the health risks, unless it's sort of like boxing. Yeah. Like boxing's fun. I've done some boxing, done some sparring, but at some point you realize, wait, if I'm not going to make money doing this, if this isn't my career, getting hit in the head is just not worth it, especially for my job. I'm not asking you to be a public health advisor, but you've been in this sport. A lot of young guys and gals are interested in looking better, feeling better, and going immediately to, what peptides can I take? Should I be on HRT? Should I take Anavar? And I've got my opinions, but you're the expert here.
Well, it's my opinion, and the way I looked at it was like, I'm going to do this as a sport, right? So I justified it because everyone else is doing it, and I did it as a professional. And 1990, so I was 2 times British champion, overall British champion in 1988. I got my pro card. And my first pro contest was Night of Champions, which was probably second or third, below the Mr. Olympia. Because those of you who don't know, you can't just go into Mr. Olympia, right? You have to win a pro show or place in the top 3 as it used to be then. I'm not sure. Now they seem to give out so many pro cards, it's kind of lost its value. But then it was tough to get a pro card. So I said, look, I've been doing all this, yeah? I'm taking steroids, which may have some negative effects on my health later on, may do. So I'm going to go to Night of Champions. If I don't get in the top 5, I'm not good enough. So at that point, if that's the case, no longer justified to take the steroids, right? Or compete, because I've gone as far as my genetics will allow me. As I observed the history of bodybuilding, the guys that were great champions, they were great, like, out the gate. They didn't get, 12th place in Mr. Olympia and then next year win it, right? You got it or you don't have it, right? That's what I thought. I'm going to be brutally honest with myself. I have a gym. I'm making okay money now. If I don't compete, I could open more gyms, put more time into that. I have a young son. There's kind of making a sacrifice of time and energy and everything, because I'm putting everything into this. So if I don't get in the top 5 in the Night of Champions, competitive career's over, steroids are over, do something else within the sport, open more gyms or something like that. Anyway, the story is I got second, so I continued to do what I got to do as a professional, and I feel it was justified because I was earning a lot of money, more money than anyone else I knew ever earned. But what's my advice? If you were a 20-year-old guy and you were speaking to me and I'm giving you advice, get as far as you can naturally, yeah? And then look at it. But whatever gains you make by taking anabolics is a temporary situation. You will lose it when you get off, right? So it's a merry-go-round. Once you get on the merry-go-round, you don't really want to get off, because when you do get off, you start to lose all those gains. You start to feel mentally depressed because now your hormones are on the floor. So what are you going to do? Jump right back on again. And it becomes this merry-go-round. As far as I'm concerned, everybody should make their own choices in life and be able to do what they want to do. But keep that in mind. Is it worth it? Because possible negative effects physically, and also is not talked about a lot, mentally. I believe there's a lot of people in the sport with mental health problems, especially women now, because they're in the high doses now, where before they really weren't. And we're in this age of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything now, right? And I see it a bit like this, maybe from the guy's point of view. Well, listen, women are having breast implants, right? they're having lip fillers and Botox and all this shit. So why can't we take some anabolics just to look good and have abs on the beach? Why not? Because of that. And ask yourself if it's worth it, because this is a reality. You can't keep those gains, so you're probably going to be forced to continually do this over a long period of time, and that might be bad for your health. I seem to be in very good health, but I've changed my lifestyle and done a lot of different things to kind of recover from the stress that I put on my body in a professional career. And I'm here today, and I'm healthy, and I'm successful, and my business is good, and I'm happy. But it could have been different. You know, it was different for a lot of guys that I used to compete against.
Yeah, a lot of them are dead.
Yeah, so is it worth the risk? I mean, that's their question to answer, but I would say it's not. But hey, that's just my opinion.